Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video. So today, mate in two patterns. So I'll try and do 20 puzzles here that you can solve with me. And remember that doing regular puzzles, trying to solve tactics like this is one of the fastest ways to improve your chess. And you want to make sure that you go over the puzzles more than once, because if you just solve a puzzle and then don't ever see it again or see it a year later, you'll probably completely forget that pattern that you learned in that puzzle. But if you go over the puzzles, find a group of puzzles like 20 or more. The number may not be as important, but you can start with something small like 20 in this video and go over it once and then try and go over it multiple times, or with any set of chess tactics puzzles that you do. Try to go over that group of puzzles 7 times. So you start slow the first time. Take 5 minutes to do each puzzle if you need that long, and just slowly cut down on the time each time you go through that set of puzzles. So by the end, the 7th time, you're only taking 10-15 seconds to solve each puzzle, and those patterns should be burned into your memory by then. All right, so let's begin here. We have white to move. Black is just pushed forward, attacking our rook here. So, we need to be aware of that. But these are mate in two puzzles, so you always want to look for checks first because those are the most forcing. So, what checks do we have? It looks like only one. So hopefully you found that. Pause the video at any time if you want to think longer. If not, it looks like our queen can sacrifice itself, forcing our king to capture here on h7. And then once the king recaptures, well then our rook that was under attack can slide over here, delivering a checkmate because this pawn is cutting off an escape on g6, and the bishop is cutting off the escape here on g8. All right, now try and solve that in your head. You want to try and, if you do puzzles on your own, in wherever, online, try to solve everything in your head instead of making one move and then looking to see, how you should continue. Because in a game, you can't pause and then start over. So once you make a mistake, it's kind of done. So here we go. Capture and mate in two there. All right, let's continue on. I'll try and move this along now. All right, the queen has just stepped over. It was under attack by this rook. We have a battery of bishop and queen. So what can we do here? All right. Well, as I said, look for checks first. Now, the queen could sacrifice itself. Well, I don't know if it's really a sacrifice, but the queen could take a pawn here. But, yeah, it would not be too good for, this one doesn't look too good because queen captures, then your rook captures up here, and then the king would recapture the rook. All right, so although you have to look out for this check as well. So, but if the queen captures first here, and then queen recaptures, if you tried to capture here, the king could just, well, then you have this as well. The rook is covering that. All right, so hopefully you found the answer here. We are going to capture first with the rook. Now, that's important. We looked at the queen capturing first, and then we looked at the rook capturing. Sometimes, if you think one check is the way to go, sometimes you have to flip the move order. So instead of moving the queen first, we're going to move the rook first, capturing. The queen will be forced to block or capture here. So then the queen will deliver a mate here on e7. So here we go. Capture, queen captures, and then a mate. All right, hopefully you found that one. It was rated 1409. And, you know, these mate in 2 problems are pretty good. They're not too complicated because it's only a mate in 2. Hopefully you're finding the answer. You know, if any beginners are watching this, you know, feel free to leave comments if you think it's too difficult or, you know, or if it's too easy. All right, next problem. The bishop has just centralized here, aiming at our king over here on the queen side. We have a knight that's pinned to our king. But with black to move, what should we do here? All right, so we want to look for checks. Now, the knight cannot deliver a check here because of the pin to the king. That only leaves a bishop check. So that's the most forcing way to go. And we do have a battery here, you know, that could potentially lead to a checkmate. All right, so, you know, solve that in your head if you haven't solved it already. If not, here we go. We're going to move the bishop here, checking the king, and at the same time revealing a attack up the G file here. So, you know, if our bishop is captured by their bishop, well, then our queen can deliver a mate up here. All right, check and mate in 2. So there we go. That was rated 896. So hopefully you found that one. Here we go. All right, and you know, if any beginners have trouble with these, you know, just keep working at it and you'll improve. And before you know it, you'll be delivering these checkmates in 2 with no problem. All right. And for you more advanced players, I better speed it up here because you're probably waiting, thinking I'm taking too long. All right. Checks first. We have a bishop check possible, a queen check possible. All right. And we also have to look at this rook. You know, so this should give you a hint, these 3 pieces. You just have to capture in the right order, and hopefully you can figure this out. Pause the video if you need more time. If not, here we go. So we're going to sacrifice the queen. The king could not move into the corner because then we just capture the rook and deliver a back rank mate. But now the bishop is pinning the rook. So here we go, delivering the back rank mate. The rook cannot block because it's pinned by this bishop. All right, on to the next problem. A bishop is attacking our queen and pinning it to our king. So that does not look good at all. All right. What can we do here? Looks like we are in trouble. But we do have a possible check by a discovered attack once this knight moves out of the way. So that is a plus in our favor. So what can we do here? If we move our knight out of the way, we'll have to figure out where best to place it. All right, where would be best to put this knight? And you don't have many options. I mean, you can drop it back here or here. You could put it up here. Now our queen is cutting off some squares here, well, a square here that the king cannot move to. The pawn is cutting off this square. So once we move that knight, the king will have to move here or here. I would think the king would probably want to move here because then it may have the option to escape to the back rank here. But once that happens, our rook could capture here on this square and be backed up by our queen, covering that as well. So, a lot going on here, even though it's a mate in two. Okay, we want to move the knight. Let's say, all right, if we move the knight here, then the king cannot even go here because the knight will be covering that. So the king would be forced to go here. And then our rook could deliver the mate here on g2. All right, here we go. Just double check that, make sure there aren't any surprises. And remember, when a king is in check, there are only three options to get out of it. Capture the attacker, block the attacker, or run. So we move our knight, the rook is attacking, there's no way to block and can't capture the rook, so the king is forced to run. But now we can deliver a mate with the rook backed up by our queen here. All right, on to the next problem. Okay, well, let's see. A battle is brewing here on the B file. We have a queen-rook battery here, but rook and queen are all covering this rook on b8. So, if we capture on b8 with our rook, their rook could just recapture, attacking our queen. So we have to look for another check that works better. So hopefully that is the clue that will help you solve this. So go ahead, take a look. Pause if you need more time. If not, here we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is check with the queen going in this direction, capturing the pawn, forcing the king into the corner, and then I can deliver mate here on g7. So here we go. And mate. A nice little pattern here. When there's an attack on one side of the board, but you're also attacking in the other direction, the queen is so powerful because of the multiple directions it can attack in. All right, and it was backed up by the rook. So not only rooks on the 7th rank, but rook and queen can be very dangerous on the 7th rank for your opponent. All right, next problem. We have what? A capture here. So it's up to us now to deliver the mate. So hopefully you can find this one. It's not too difficult if you look at the checks first. So, we don't want to capture with our pawn here because the king could just recapture, I guess. And we're going for a mate in 2. So queen delivers check, backed up by the pawn, and then picks off the bishop and delivers a mate because the king will be forced to this square. All right, here we go. Check and mate. So interesting little pattern there. Hopefully you got that one. Let's move on to the next one. Our queen is under attack here. And if we move the queen, there's a possible capture of this pawn. But we need to deliver a mate here. So how are we going to do that? All right. Well, checks first. What check do we have? All right. Well, we have a queen check right here. That would force the king to move to this square. And then how do we continue? Well, at that point, we would not be able to capture this knight because the queen would be covering that. But maybe we have something better. Okay, let's take a look at this once more. Okay, let's look at all the checks. Maybe the queen, I mean, that's the obvious move, just capture with the queen here. But maybe we need to try something else. Well, this one's a little trickier than I thought it would be. Okay, should the knight jump up here? If that happens, then they can just capture. That blocks the path of our bishop here. So, doesn't look like that works for a mate in 2. So we're back to this queen capture. We capture with check. The king is forced here. Then what? All right. Okay, maybe I'm overcomplicating this. So queen captures here. King retreats here. We can't capture the knight and deliver a mate because the queen will be covering that knight once the king moves. So what can we do? You know, if we capture with the pawn, the king or the knight can capture that. Okay, we have another check with the knight over here. Okay, so let's check that. Queen captures, driving the king here. Then the knight just jumps here, and that should do it. All right, here we go. Hopefully you found that better than I did. And that's why it's so good to practice these little patterns, because that could be a pattern. Well, obviously I wasn't as familiar with that type of pattern. So hopefully, you know, another thing, if you find a pattern that you're unfamiliar with, that's even more of a reason to go over it multiple times and review it until it burns into your memory, because otherwise you're more likely to just forget. All right, on to problem number 9. What do we have here? An attack on the knight. Okay, how can we go after this king here? Well, we have knights that can jump into the action. So, how do we go about it? Well, we have this rook lined up here. So perhaps we move our knight here with a check, forcing the king into the corner, and then our rook delivers mate on f8. All right, here we go. Check and mate. All right, hopefully you found that one. On to the next one, problem number 10. We have a battery created here, threatening a back rank mate against our king. But since we have the first move, what can we do here? Well, look for those checks. That is so important when you're, well, in your chess games, in tactics. The first thing you should do is look for checks, especially ones that might not be obvious. Look at all the checks, because you don't want to be surprised by a horrible check that turns the tables on you. Okay. Well, we don't want to sacrifice our queen. We could go here. We definitely don't want to go there, because we'll just be captured. If we go here, they can block. So we have this check. And that one looks more promising because our rook is covering any escape on the e-file. All right, so that looks good. Pause the video if you need more time to think. If not, here we go. We're going to check from here. The king will be forced to here, and then we deliver a back rank mate. So nice little mating pattern there. And mate using queen and rook. And the weak squares around, these weak light squares, whenever there's a fianchettoed position or an opening like this, these squares are very weak and you can use them to your advantage. All right, I'll try and zip through 10 more problems, so I'll go a little bit faster here. All right, they've doubled up. What do we have? Okay. Well, Oh, okay. Hopefully you found this one. We're going to use the rook to deliver a check, forcing the king over, and then we're going to deliver a mate here. Nice little pattern there, using the half-open file and breaking through to the king. All right, on to the next one. We have c3, just protecting this knight. Okay, what can we do here? All right, another nice little pattern. So pause the video if you need more time. If not, we're going to unleash a discovered attack on the king here by pushing this pawn. And the king will be trapped. The only thing that can be done is to block with the knight, and then we just capture that knight, delivering the mate. So, solve that in your head if you need time. Pause and do that. If not, here we go. So there, and mate, using the pawn and the queen duo here. Little, pretty interesting pattern. All right, next problem. Queen has done what? Captured here, attacking our queen, sticking our king in the center. All right, but it's our turn. What can we do? Okay. Well, we have this battery lined up on the king here. That looks pretty promising. And we also have a knight in the way that must move, but we can move and deliver a check while we're at it. But it's going to be important where we move this knight. Do we go here or do we go here to deliver the check? And that makes a difference because, one, if we don't do it right, the king could escape out towards the center here. So that should give you a clue on what to do. All right, here we go. We're going to move here, cutting that escape square off. If the knight cannot be captured by this pawn because of the pin once that knight moves. So we're going to play knight up here. The king will have to move here. Then we deliver a check. The king will have to go in the corner, and then we can sacrifice. Oh, well, the king won't even be able to do that. This is a mate in two. So what am I thinking? All right. So first move is that. The second one, the king goes here, and then we mate with the queen. So let's do it. And they go the other way, so we don't even have to worry about that. We just go here. All right. On to the next one. I'll try and get these last, 7 problems done. That way you have a nice set of 20. Okay. King was in check by our rook. So what can we do? And we don't have many pieces. We have another rook over here. So, all right. Let's use our knight and rook combo. So hopefully you found this one. Pause if you need to. Here we go. We're going to check. The king is going to be forced to go up. And then, we can't deliver the mate here. So we're going to have to deliver it up here. All right. So here we go. And the mate. Another interesting little pattern with the rooks and the knight helping cover this rook. All right. On to problem number 15? Okay. Their king was in check and moved back. So how do we continue here? Well, we look for all the checks. Now our queen is hovering around their king, but if we just check here, the rook can block. So maybe we need something different. You have to make sure you look at all the checks. So hopefully then you will find that this bishop can check. So pause if you need more time. If not, here we go. We're going to put the bishop here, delivering a check. The queen is cutting the king off here. So, the rook will probably have to block here. That looks like the only thing. And then the queen will deliver a mate. All right, check. Oh, and a block that way. And that works just the same. Now we want to capture with the bishop and deliver the checkmate. Okay, next problem. What was that? A capture? Bishop centralizes here. We could just capture, but we're looking for a mate in 2. So hopefully you found this one, a simple pattern. Here we go. As always, pause if you need more time. We're going to just check the king. There's no way to capture or block the attacking queen. The only thing that can be done is to run, and then the queen will deliver a mate here, backed up by this pawn. So here we go. Check and mate. All right, 4 more problems to go. Pawn has just captured a pawn. What are we going to do here? All right. Look for those checks, the all-important checks. An interesting little pattern here. We notice the queen is lined up in this direction, but so is the rook. So hopefully that will help you solve this. We're going to deliver the rook check first, and can't block, king can't run. The only thing that can be done is to capture the attacker, but the queen is able to deliver a mate here. So capture and mate. Another nice little pattern. All right, the final 3 problems. What is this? A capture by the knight? Okay. Well, it looks like a similar problem to our last one. So hopefully you can find this. Look for all the checks. Pause if you need more time. If not, here we go. We're going to deliver the check. The bishop is going to be forced to capture the rook. But then we can deliver a mate with this rook, and the queen cuts off this escape square. All right, check and mate. All right, we have 2 more. Let's finish this out strong. I hope you're doing well with these problems. Okay, the knight is what? Attacking this, but it's our turn. How do we deliver the mate here? All right. Well, look at all the checks. Sacrificing the rook doesn't seem like it gives us too much. So we have to look at knight checks. We could go here or here. If we go here, it just blocks the path of our rook. So we probably want to go here, delivering a check. The only thing the king can do, and with a knight, you can't block when knights are checking the king. The only thing you can do is capture the knight, and if you can't do that, as in this position, the king must run, and then we deliver a mate with the rook here. So check and mate. Another nice little pattern. Okay. On to the final problem. So what was that? A capture? Well, here we go. Look at all the checks. We have knight checks. We have queen check, rook check. So which one of those is best? Well, hopefully you found the answer. Pause as always if you need more time. If not, we are going to get rid of this defender. And then if the pawn or the queen captures, we will be able to deliver a mate here on h7. All right, here we go. And mate. Another nice little pattern. All right, I hope you enjoyed these 20 mate in 2 patterns. And I encourage you to solve chess tactics regularly to help improve your offense and defense in your own chess games. And remember to review the patterns, review the chess tactics puzzles that you do more than once. Ideally 7 times. That's about how many times it takes to go over something again and again for it to burn into your long-term memory. So you don't want to just, look at a bunch of puzzles once and then forget about all of them. So I highly recommend, going over things multiple times. And then you could do a review in the future. That way it's refreshed in your memory even more. All right. Well, feel free to leave any comments, like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.